Have you ever looked at someone you love, a grandparent, a parent, an older friend, and wondered how much time you might still have with them? It's one of the most difficult questions any of us can face. We all know that aging is a natural part of life, yet when it comes to recognizing when someone may be approaching their final year, many people feel lost, overwhelmed, and unprepared. In today's video, we're going to talk about something that isn't easy but is so important, the subtle signs that an elderly person may be in their final year of life. These signs aren't always dramatic or obvious. In fact, they're often quiet whispers that something deeper is changing in the body and mind. You might notice your loved one withdrawing from daily activities, sleeping more, losing interest in eating, or having sudden weight loss. Maybe you've seen shifts in their memory, confusion, or they speak about feeling tired of fighting. These moments can be heartbreaking, but understanding them can help you respond with more love, patience, and care. This isn't about fear, it's about preparation and compassion. By learning these signs, you can make sure your loved one gets the support they need, the comfort they deserve, and the dignity every person should have in their final chapter. We'll also talk about how to start these tough conversations with family, when to seek hospice care, and how to cope emotionally yourself. So if you want to be ready, informed, and loving, stay with us. Let's face this reality together with open hearts so we can cherish every moment that remains. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you find this video helpful. Let's get started. Number 1. Significant loss of appetite accompanied by noticeable weight loss. One of the most telling and yet most misunderstood signs that an elderly person may be approaching their final year is significant loss of appetite accompanied by noticeable weight loss. While it's common for people to lose small amounts of weight as they age, especially if they become less active, rapid or steady weight loss that is not intentional combined with a declining interest in food can indicate that the body is slowly shutting down. Recognizing this sign early can make an enormous difference. Not because you can magically reverse the process, aging is a reality that no amount of love or care can halt entirely, but because knowing how to respond with understanding, practical solutions, and deep compassion can help your loved one live their final months or year in greater comfort, dignity, and peace. It often starts subtly. Maybe you notice your elderly parent pushing their dinner plate away after just a few bites. Perhaps they start skipping meals altogether. They might say, "I'm just not hungry," or "everything tastes funny these days." Over time, you begin to see their clothes hang more loosely around their shoulders, or they grow frail and bony where they once had more flesh. If you're the one cooking, you might find yourself frustrated when your efforts go untouched. You make their favorite soup and they only sip the broth. You buy the best cuts of meat, fresh fruit, or tempting treats, hoping something will spark their appetite, but nothing seems to help. For many families, this becomes a source of distress, guilt, and tension. You may even feel helpless or resentful, worrying that they are giving up. To understand why this happens, it's important to know what's going on inside the body. As the human body ages, especially when it enters its final year, its metabolism naturally slows down. The digestive system no longer works as efficiently. Organs, like the stomach, intestines, liver, and kidneys, gradually become less active. The muscles that help with chewing and swallowing can weaken, making eating feel like hard work. The senses of taste and smell may dull or distort, so food that once smelled delicious may now seem bland, bitter, or even unpleasant. Even the body's energy requirements drop because a person who sleeps more, moves less, and spends more time resting doesn't burn as many calories. For someone nearing the end of life, food becomes less about fueling the body and more about comforting the spirit, and when the discomfort of eating outweighs any pleasure, it's natural for an elderly person to begin refusing food. It's also worth noting that certain health conditions can make this worse. Advanced diseases like cancer, heart failure, or kidney disease can cause muscle wasting and appetite loss. Dementia and Alzheimer's disease often change how the brain processes hunger cues. Medications for chronic pain, depression, or high blood pressure can affect taste buds, cause dry mouth, or make people feel nauseous. Dental problems like ill-fitting dentures or tooth decay can also make chewing painful. When all these factors combine, a gentle but steady decline in appetite can turn into significant weight loss. So what can you do to help? Is there really a way to fix the sign? The honest answer is that you may not be able to reverse it entirely, but you can absolutely soften its effects, help your loved one maintain strength and comfort for as long as possible, and most importantly, ease the emotional strain for everyone involved. First, shift your mindset. In many families and cultures, Feeding is love. We celebrate milestones with food, comfort each other with meals, and bond over the dinner table. So when an elderly person rejects food, it can feel like they are rejecting your love or giving up on life. This misunderstanding often leads to arguments, guilt, and tension. Instead of pressuring your loved one to eat more than they want, try to see their reduced appetite as the body's way of conserving energy. It doesn't mean they don't love you or that you're failing them. It simply means their body has different needs now. Once you accept that appetite loss is partly natural, you can focus on what you can influence, making eating as pleasant and easy as possible. Start by creating an environment that encourages even small bites. Serve meals in a calm, cozy setting. Avoid rushing them. Use bright, colorful plates to make food more appealing. If they're sensitive to strong smells, open a window or cook lighter dishes that don't overwhelm them. Try offering smaller, more frequent meals rather than 3 big ones. Sometimes a whole plate of food can feel intimidating, while a small bowl or a few bites may seem manageable. Another important step is to focus on nutrient-dense, easy-to-eat foods. Instead of large portions, offer small amounts of high-calorie, high-protein foods. Think custards, puddings, yogurt, eggs, soft cheeses, smoothies, or blended soups. These can be easier to swallow and digest. For those who have trouble chewing, pureed foods can be a game changer. There are many delicious recipes for pureed meals that look and taste appealing, helping maintain a sense of dignity. If they can tolerate it, adding healthy fats like olive oil, nut butters, or avocados can increase calorie intake without needing to eat more volume. Sometimes loss of appetite stems from treatable causes, so do not hesitate to involve the medical team. A doctor can check for underlying problems like infections, constipation, mouth sores, or side effects from medication. In certain cases, a speech therapist can assess swallowing difficulties and recommend safe textures to prevent choking. If your loved one has severe nausea, there are medications that can help. Appetite stimulants exist, but they should be used with caution and only under medical guidance, since they can have side effects and don't always bring meaningful benefits at the end of life. Beyond the physical, there is a powerful emotional component to this journey. When your loved one eats less, you may feel an urgent need to do something, anything, to fix it. But the most meaningful fix you can offer is to make meals less about the calories and more about connection. Sit with them as they eat. Play music they love. Reminisce about favorite dishes and memories. Even if they take just one spoonful, you have shared a moment of love and presence. This emotional nourishment often brings more comfort than any meal ever could. It's also essential to talk openly with your loved one, if they are able, about what they want. Ask what tastes good, what feels comfortable, and when they feel most like eating. Some people prefer light snacks in the morning and nothing at night. Others like something sweet but reject savory foods. Be flexible and respect their wishes, even if they change from day to day. If they want to skip a meal altogether, that's okay too. Try not to let frustration overshadow your compassion. Families often struggle when extended relatives or visitors don't understand why the elderly person is not eating. They may say things like, if only they'd eat more, they'd get better. You can help by gently explaining that at this stage, forcing food may cause more harm than good. Involving a hospice or palliative care team can help mediate these conversations. These professionals can guide families through the complex emotions of end-of-life feeding and provide reassurance that reduced appetite is normal and not a sign of neglect. When appetite loss becomes extreme and the person stops eating altogether, many families wonder if artificial feeding, like feeding tubes or fluids, might help. This is a difficult and deeply personal decision. Research and experience show that for most people in their final days or weeks, artificial feeding does not improve quality of life and can even lead to complications like infections, discomfort, or fluid overload. Instead of prolonging meaningful time, it may only prolong suffering. That's why palliative care experts usually recommend focusing on comfort, keeping the mouth moist, managing dry lips, and providing small sips or ice chips if they want them. It's less about fighting the inevitable and more about supporting the journey with dignity. One overlooked but powerful way to help your loved one cope with appetite loss is to address their spiritual and emotional well-being. Sometimes an elderly person stops eating because they feel tired of life, feel isolated, or carry unresolved worries. Simple things like inviting an old friend to visit, playing music from their youth, Reading poetry, praying together, or watching a favorite show can lift their spirits. These moments remind them that they are loved and not alone. Many people, when they feel emotionally nourished, may surprise you by wanting a few bites of food again, not because they are cured, but because they feel connected. This experience can be incredibly heavy for caregivers too. Watching someone waste away is one of the hardest parts of end-of-life care. The fear that you are not doing enough can eat away at your peace of mind. It helps to remember, feeding is not the only way to show love. Your gentle touch, your presence, your patient acceptance, these are priceless gifts. Take time to rest yourself. Accept help from friends, neighbors, or hospice teams. Eat well, stay hydrated, and talk about your feelings with people you trust. You cannot pour from an empty cup. In the end, loss of appetite and weight loss is not just a sign of the body's decline, it is also an invitation to see the final stages of life with new eyes. It is a reminder that life's value is not measured by how much someone eats or weighs, but by how much love surrounds them in their final chapter. You cannot force your loved one's body to want what it no longer needs, but you can make every meal, every sip, every small bite an act of grace. And when they no longer want food at all, you can sit with them in the quiet, hold their hand, and know that your presence is more nourishing than any meal could ever be. If you find yourself facing this moment now, be gentle with yourself. Be gentle with them. Talk with your doctors, your hospice nurses, your spiritual advisors. Ask questions, voice your fears, and lean on those who have walked this path before you. There is no perfect way to handle this, only the most loving way you can. In doing so, you honor their life, their dignity, and the bond that no amount of loss can ever take away. Number 2, steady, noticeable increase in fatigue. One of the most common but easily overlooked signs that an elderly person may be in their final year is a steady, noticeable increase in fatigue. At first, it may seem harmless, just an extra nap in the afternoon or going to bed a bit earlier than usual. But over weeks and months, you might begin to see a pattern that feels different. The person who once rose with the sun now struggles to get out of bed at all. The person who once spent afternoons tending a garden, chatting with visitors, or watching television now sleeps for hours on end, sometimes waking only to eat a bite or say a few words before drifting off again. This overwhelming tiredness can be unsettling for families who feel powerless to lift the weight of this exhaustion, especially when they remember the vibrant person their loved one once was. Fatigue is more than just sleepiness. In the final year of life, it is a sign that the body's systems are slowing down and conserving energy for the work of maintaining vital functions. The muscles may weaken and the heart may no longer pump as strongly as before. Even the brain, which needs a constant supply of oxygen and energy, may begin to slow its pace. For some, this means they drift in and out of sleep throughout the day. For others, even sitting up or having a short conversation can be so exhausting that they need to rest again immediately. For caregivers and family members, it can feel like watching a beloved person fade right before your eyes. There is a powerful desire to wake them up, to encourage them to fight the fatigue. After all, our culture praises energy and activity as signs of health and life. Seeing a parent, spouse, or grandparent spend entire days in bed may trigger fears that they are giving up, or worse, that you're not doing enough to keep them strong. But it is essential to understand that this profound tiredness is not laziness, nor is it a sign of defeat. Still, there are ways you can help. Supporting an elderly loved one through extreme fatigue is less about trying to erase the tiredness and more about easing its burden and giving comfort wherever you can. The first step is to observe and listen. Try to understand what their fatigue feels like. Is it physical weakness, where standing up feels like lifting a mountain? Or is it mental fog, where focusing on words or holding a thought feels impossible? Some elders may struggle to explain it, so pay attention to the little clues. Long pauses, drooping eyelids, a slumped posture, or a sigh that says more than words ever could. Next, consider the practical side. Arrange their living space so they expend less energy. Keep essentials within arm's reach: tissues, water, medications, a phone. If they enjoy sitting by the window to feel the sunlight, make sure their favorite chair is comfortable and safe. Sometimes, small tweaks make a big difference. A soft blanket, a pillow that supports an aching back, or a reading light that doesn't strain tired eyes can bring comfort that restores a bit of ease in their day. Many families feel that encouraging light movement is helpful, and often it is, but it must be done with care. For some people, A gentle walk to the garden or the porch can lift their spirits and stretch their muscles. For others, even standing can cause dizziness or risk a fall. Work with their doctor or a home health nurse to understand safe limits. If it feels right, help them sit up for meals, which can aid digestion and give them a change of scenery. Small exercises like flexing ankles or rotating wrists while in bed can keep blood flowing. But never push so hard that the effort outweighs the benefit. Forcing activity on a body that is winding down can lead to unnecessary pain or injury. Nutrition and hydration play a part here too. Fatigue can worsen when a person is dehydrated or undernourished. But just as with appetite loss, there's a delicate balance. Some elders may find even the effort of eating exhausting. Offer small, easy-to-chew, nutrient-rich snacks when they're most alert. Sips of water or flavored drinks may help, but be patient if they need time. Many caregivers worry that if their loved one eats more, they will feel stronger. Sometimes this is true, but near the end of life, the body's ability to use nutrients can be greatly reduced. Focus instead on comfort, what tastes good, what sits well, and what brings them a moment of pleasure. One overlooked aspect of extreme tiredness is the emotional impact it has on the elderly person themselves. Imagine waking up each day feeling like you've already run a marathon. Imagine wanting to talk to your family, to watch your favorite show, to read a book. But every attempt leaves you too drained to continue. For some, this leads to frustration, sadness, and even feelings of guilt. They may feel like a burden or worry they are disappointing you. Gentle reassurance can go a long way. Sit quietly with them. Let them know that you understand they're tired. Remind them that you love them not for what they do, but simply for who they are. Equally important is the emotional care of the family. Witnessing prolonged fatigue can be exhausting for you too. You may feel alone as you watch the clock tick by in a house that has grown quiet. You may miss the lively conversations or simple routines you once shared. Some caregivers try to fight this quiet by filling every moment with questions or reminders to stay awake. It's human to want to hold on to the person you knew. But sometimes, true love means allowing them to drift into rest without guilt or fear. Practical communication helps too. Talk with their medical team about what fatigue means at this stage. Sometimes there are reversible factors that can be treated, like anemia, infections, or poorly managed pain. If medications are causing drowsiness, a doctor may adjust the dosage or timing to improve alertness when it matters most. But if fatigue is simply a sign that the body is naturally slowing down, trying to fix it aggressively may do more harm than good. Palliative care specialists can guide you in deciding what treatments make sense and when it's kinder to shift the goal from fighting to comforting. Another helpful approach is to adjust daily routines to match their new energy patterns. Many people who are very tired feel strongest in the morning, then fade as the day goes on. If that's the case, plan important activities, like a favorite meal, a bath, or a cherished visitor, for that window of time when they're most alert. Keep the afternoon and evenings quiet. Reduce noise and bright lights. Create a calming bedtime ritual if they enjoy it. Soft music, a warm blanket, or a few gentle words before they drift off. Spiritually, this prolonged tiredness often prompts reflection. Some elders begin to speak less, not because they don't have thoughts to share, but because they are turning inward. They may dream vividly, talk about seeing loved ones who have passed, or mention feeling ready to rest for good. For many families, these conversations are a bittersweet gift. They open the door to final words of love, gratitude, or forgiveness that may have been left unsaid. If your loved one wants to talk about these things, listen. If they want silence, honor that too. Sometimes just holding their hand as they nap is enough. Caregivers sometimes fear that sleeping too much means they are missing out on precious time together. But rest is not time wasted. It is part of the gentle winding down that helps a person let go when they are ready. When the fatigue grows so deep that your loved one barely wakes at all, you may find yourself wondering if you should try to keep them awake. Should you wake them for meals? Should you insist they sit up or open their eyes for visitors? The kindest choice in these moments is often to follow their lead. If they wake naturally, share that moment with them. If they sleep, let them sleep. Comfort care becomes your focus, moistening dry lips, repositioning them gently to avoid bed sores, playing soothing music if they enjoy it. Hospice nurses and aides can teach you small ways to keep your loved ones safe and comfortable so you don't feel so alone in these final weeks or days. In the end, increasing fatigue is not just a sign of the body's decline, it is also a reminder for families to slow down too. To savor the quiet moments. To let go of the old measure of life as busyness and action and instead embrace life's last gift, time together in the stillness. You may find that some of the most meaningful moments happen when nothing is said, when you sit side by side and listen to the gentle rhythm of their breath. And when the final rest comes, you can know you did everything you could, not by forcing them to stay awake, but by being present, loving them through each drowsy hour, and giving them the peace they needed to let go with dignity. If you find yourself walking this road now, be gentle with yourself too. Take breaks when you can. Ask for help. Accept the support of hospice teams, counselors, and friends who understand. You are not alone. Fatigue is a sign of life's final transition, not a failure of yours to keep your loved one stronger or more awake. You cannot fight nature, but you can hold your loved one's hand as they drift deeper into the rest that leads them home. And sometimes that is the most powerful fix there is, to choose peace, to choose presence, and to let love be enough. Number 3 is a growing tendency to withdraw from the world around them. One of the most overlooked yet deeply significant signs that an elderly person may be entering their final year is a growing tendency to withdraw from the world around them. For families, this can be one of the hardest changes to accept because it touches the heart so personally. A parent who once lit up the room with conversation now sits quietly in a corner, staring out the window. A grandparent who adored large family gatherings now gently declines visits or cuts conversations short. Phone calls go unanswered. Invitations to special occasions are met with polite refusals or exhausted smiles. The person you love seems to be slowly retreating inward, like the final rays of sunlight disappearing behind the hills at dusk. At first, you might wonder if they're upset or depressed. You might replay recent conversations in your mind, searching for something you said or did wrong. It's easy to feel hurt or rejected, especially when you remember the vibrant person they used to be, the one who never missed a birthday, who loved to tell stories or sit on the porch chatting with neighbors for hours. But while social withdrawal can certainly be linked to sadness or untreated depression, it can also be a natural part of the body and spirit preparing for life's final chapter. To understand why, imagine the human mind and body as a candle. When we are young and in our prime, that flame burns brightly, radiating warmth and light in every direction. We share our energy freely with our family, friends, work, and community. But as we age, and especially in the final year of life, the body begins to conserve the last of its energy for the most essential tasks, keeping the heart beating, the lungs working, and the mind at peace. The flame grows smaller, more focused inward. Conversations, visitors, and noise that once felt energizing may now feel like overwhelming demands on a fragile, flickering light. There are many physical reasons this happens. Fatigue, pain, and declining senses all play a role. If hearing is failing, social interactions can feel exhausting or embarrassing. When memory is slipping away, trying to follow stories or recognize faces may bring frustration instead of joy. Chronic illnesses can cause discomfort that makes socializing feel like a burden. Even the act of getting dressed, moving from one room to another, or sitting upright for too long can drain an elderly person of what little strength they have left. Yet, beyond the physical, there is something deeper happening too, a subtle spiritual turning inward that is common, though rarely spoken of. As a person senses that their time may be nearing its end, they often feel called to reflect on their life, the things they did, the love they gave, the regrets they carry, the meaning of their journey. It is not that they love you any less, it is that they are walking a path that, in the end, only they can walk. They are preparing, consciously or not, to let go. For families, seeing this withdrawal can stir up complicated feelings. You may feel helpless, wondering how to bring them back. You might be tempted to push harder, arranging surprise visits, insisting they join in on social events, or trying to spark their interest in old hobbies. Sometimes, these efforts come from the best place in your heart. You want to hold onto the moments you still have. But more often than not, trying to pull someone out of this gentle retreat can leave everyone feeling frustrated, misunderstood, and even more distant. So, how can you respond in a way that truly helps? First, it is vital to recognize that social withdrawal at the end of life is not necessarily something to fix, but rather something to understand and support with tenderness. The goal is not to force your loved one to be who they once were, but to meet them where they are now. Start by paying close attention to their cues. Do they want company, but only for a few minutes at a time? Would they prefer one-on-one visits instead of large gatherings? Do they find phone calls tiring but enjoy a quiet letter they can read in their own time? By noticing the subtle ways they express what they need, you can respect their boundaries while still showing that they are not alone. Sometimes, the best comfort you can give is simply your quiet presence. You don't need to fill the silence with endless chatter. Sitting together in a peaceful room, listening to their favorite music, or holding their hand can mean more than any conversation ever could. In these still moments, they may find the courage to share the thoughts that weigh on their heart, memories long forgotten, confessions they need to speak, or gentle goodbyes they long to say. Or they may say nothing at all. And that is okay too. Practical adjustments can help them stay connected on their own terms. If large family visits are too much, suggest that people visit 1 or 2 at a time. If travel to social events is exhausting, bring the celebration to them in a way that feels calm, a favorite meal, a single slice of cake, a video call with a grandchild who lives far away. Keep noise and activity at a level that doesn't overwhelm. Often, people approaching the end of life grow more sensitive to loud sounds and confusion. For elders whose withdrawal stems from physical discomfort or untreated depression, there are things you can do to ease their burden. Work with their doctor to manage pain, sleep problems, or mobility issues that make socializing hard. A counselor or spiritual advisor can offer gentle support if they are carrying unresolved fears or regrets. Palliative care teams can be especially helpful not just for medical comfort but for the emotional and spiritual care that many families overlook. If your loved one lives in a care home or hospice, you may worry that they feel lonely. This is a very real concern, but remember that for many people near the end of life, solitude can feel safe and comforting rather than isolating. What matters is that they feel your love and presence even in the quiet. A letter slipped under their pillow, a photo on their bedside table, a favorite blanket you brought from home, these small tokens remind them they are not forgotten. You may notice your loved one withdrawing from certain conversations too. They may not want to talk about the future anymore. They may avoid making plans. This can be heartbreaking if you are not ready to say goodbye, but pushing them to engage in topics they're not ready for can cause more pain than comfort. Instead, focus on the present. Bring up old memories if they like to reminisce. Talk about simple, gentle things, the weather outside, a bird you saw in the yard, the taste of the soup you made. Let the conversation flow at their pace without demands or expectations. One of the most beautiful things you can do when your loved one begins to withdraw is to let them know that it's okay. Tell them you understand. Tell them you love them, not for what they do, but for who they are. Tell them they have nothing left to prove. Give them permission in your own quiet way to rest. This kind of unconditional love is a powerful balm that can ease the loneliness that sometimes hides inside the silence. For you, the caregiver or family member, this process can feel achingly lonely too. You may feel like you are losing parts of your loved one day by day, long before their final breath. It helps to share this grief with others. Talk to a hospice counselor, join a support group, or reach out to friends who understand. Even writing down your feelings in a journal can bring a sense of relief when the house grows too quiet. Many people find that the final year, especially the final months, become a time of unexpected closeness, not in big celebrations or busy gatherings, but in the small moments that only come with stillness. A mother who once told long stories now whispers a single word that brings tears to your eyes. A grandfather who once entertained a roomful of guests now gives you a tired smile that speaks more than 1,000 words. In these moments, you see that the bond you share is not gone, it is simply changing. As the time draws nearer, some people withdraw so completely that they spend most of their days asleep or in a dreamlike state. Families sometimes ask, should we keep visiting? Should we talk if they don't answer? The answer is yes. Even when they can no longer respond, your voice, your touch, the sound of your laughter, the feel of your hand in theirs, all of these remind them that they are loved and safe. They may not have the energy to answer, but the heart understands what the ears no longer hear. In the end, increasing withdrawal is not a sign that your loved one has stopped loving you or no longer cares. It is a sign that they are on a journey inward, a journey that prepares them in their own quiet way to let go of this world. Your role is not to pull them back, but to walk beside them for as long as they need you, to hold them in love and understanding, and to know that even in silence, the connection you share remains unbroken. So, if you are witnessing this sign now, take a deep breath. Trust that you are doing enough. Be gentle with your own heart just as you are gentle with theirs. Cherish the moments when they open their eyes and smile at you. Sit with them when they close their eyes again. Talk when they want to talk. Listen when they want to speak. And when words fail, let your love fill the quiet space in between. Number 4 is the steady onset of confusion and disorientation. One of the most heartbreaking and challenging signs that an elderly person may be in their final year is the steady onset of confusion and disorientation. It is a sign that is sometimes sudden, sometimes creeping, a subtle fog that settles first in the small things, forgetting what day it is, misplacing familiar items, or asking the same question several times in a single conversation. Over time, the fog thickens. A person who once recalled birthdays, names, and stories with vivid detail may begin to forget their closest relatives, confuse faces, or see things that no one else can see. To family and caregivers, this change can feel deeply painful, a sense of losing your loved one before you've really lost them at all. Confusion in the elderly can be caused by many factors, but when it appears or worsens steadily, it can be a sign that the mind is slowly detaching from the present world. This is especially true when the confusion does not clear up, when moments of clarity grow shorter and farther apart, and when your loved one seems to drift between reality and something beyond. For many, this is the body and spirit's gentle way of preparing to let go, a turning inward that helps cushion the fear of leaving behind all they have known. Before we accept this change as inevitable, it's important to understand what can make confusion worse and what can help ease it, if only for a while. First, the physical causes. Many elders experience something called delirium, a sudden and severe confusion that can be triggered by infections, dehydration, constipation, or medication side effects. A urinary tract infection in a healthy young person might be a minor inconvenience, but in an elderly person it can spark hallucinations or paranoia. Pain that goes untreated can cloud the mind, as can poor sleep or changes in the environment. So how do you help? How do you ease the suffering without denying what is happening? The first step is to remember that for a confused mind, logic rarely helps. Correcting every mistaken belief, arguing over what is real and what is not, these only create frustration for both sides. Imagine for a moment what it must feel like to see the world shift and blur, to feel certain that you are in danger when you are not, or to believe you are young again, living in another time. To them, these visions feel real. And so the greatest gift you can give is not constant correction, but gentle reassurance. One of the most powerful things you can do when your loved one is confused is to enter their world rather than drag them back into yours. If your father believes he needs to leave for work, even though he retired 30 years ago, try saying, "You've worked so hard. Why don't you rest for a bit first?" If your grandmother insists her mother is waiting for her, you can say, "Tell me about your mother, what was she like?" These small acts of validation can calm fear and reduce agitation. They allow your loved one to feel heard, respected, and safe. Practical steps can ease confusion too. Keep their environment as calm and familiar as possible. Too much noise, clutter, or constant changes in routine can make disorientation worse. Familiar photos on the walls, a favorite blanket, or a familiar scent like lavender can help anchor them. Gentle lighting helps too. Shadows and darkness can turn a confused mind's worries into terrifying shapes. Nightlights in the bedroom or hallway can prevent fear when they wake in the dark and don't know where they are. Daily routines, even simple ones, bring comfort. Try to keep meals, bathing, and bedtime at the same time each day. When possible, spend time in daylight near a window. Natural light helps regulate the body's internal clock. If they nap often, make sure it doesn't disrupt nighttime sleep too much, as exhaustion can worsen confusion. And above all, speak calmly even when their words or actions test your patience. They may repeat the same question every few minutes. They may accuse you of things you know are not true. Remind yourself that this is not really them, but the illness speaking through them. Your calm presence can become an anchor in the shifting tides of their mind. Sometimes confusion brings not just gentle forgetfulness, but moments of fear or aggression. An elderly parent might insist that you are an intruder in their home. A spouse may yell, push you away, or demand to leave in the middle of the night. These moments can be terrifying for everyone. When they happen, your first priority is safety, theirs and yours. Never try to physically restrain them unless absolutely necessary. Speak in a low, soothing voice. Step away if they need space. If fear or aggression happens often, talk to their doctor. Sometimes a change in medication, better pain control, or calming strategies can help. At the same time, don't ignore your own feelings. Living with someone who drifts in and out of reality can feel like living in two worlds at once. You may feel grief for the person you knew, mixed with guilt for moments when you lose your patience. You may miss their companionship terribly even though they are right there in the next room. This kind of loss, often called anticipatory grief, is real and valid. Talk to others who understand. Hospice counselors, support groups, or trusted friends can remind you that you are not alone. Sometimes confusion brings unexpected gifts too. Families often speak of moments when a loved one, quiet and lost for days, suddenly becomes clear and lucid for a few precious minutes. They may call you by name, smile at you with recognition, or whisper words you thought you'd never hear again. These moments, unpredictable and fleeting, can feel like a final blessing. If they come, don't waste time asking why, just receive them. Hold their hand. Tell them you love them. Be fully present in that sacred sliver of clarity. As the final months or weeks approach, you may notice that confusion gives way to long stretches of sleep or unresponsiveness. The mind has done its work of slowly loosening the bonds that tie it to this world. Many cultures see this as a merciful kindness, the spirit stepping gently away before the body follows. For the family, the quiet can feel both peaceful and unbearably heavy. There are fewer questions now, fewer urgent demands. The house grows still. You may sit by their bed, watching their chest rise and fall, and wonder if they know you were there. The truth is, they often do. Even when they can no longer speak or open their eyes, the sound of your voice, the warmth of your touch, the steady rhythm of your breathing beside them, these bring comfort when words no longer can. So what does it mean to fix confusion when it appears in an elderly person's final year? It does not mean forcing them back to perfect clarity. It does not mean finding the perfect medicine or the magic words that will make them fully present again. It means understanding what is happening inside them. It means making sure they are not in pain, not dehydrated, not suffering from something that can be eased. It means shaping their surroundings into a place of calm and familiarity, free from things that might frighten them. Most of all, it means loving them in the confusion, through the fog, whether they know you or not. This journey will test your patience and your heart. You may sit at their bedside late into the night, answering the same question over and over. You may leave the room in tears because the person you love called you by a stranger's name. But remember, behind the confusion, behind the tangled neurons and flickering memories, your loved one is still there. Their essence, their kindness, their love for you, the life you shared together, is not erased by the confusion. It simply rests deeper than words can reach. When the final goodbye comes, many families find peace in knowing they walked this path with grace. You did not try to drag your loved one back to reality when it no longer served them. You did not meet confusion with anger, but with compassion. You did not measure your love by how clear they were, but by how present you stayed when clarity was gone. And in the end, that is how you soften the sign, this painful but natural step in the journey home. Not by trying to hold onto what must eventually slip away, but by giving your loved one the gift of your patience, your understanding, and your unwavering presence. In the quiet after the confusion fades, you will remember the moments of light that broke through the fog and know that your love remained steady and true all the way through. Number 5 is a steady increase in physical weakness and a growing difficulty with mobility. One of the most visible and profound signs that an elderly person may be entering their final year is a steady increase in physical weakness and a growing difficulty with mobility. This change often unfolds gradually and may first seem like normal aging, but over time it becomes clear that the person is losing strength, balance, and independence in ways that deeply affect their daily life. Watching a loved one struggle to stand, walk, or even sit up without help can be heartbreaking, and it often signals that the body is slowing down for the final chapter of life. Physical weakness in the elderly is more than just a loss of muscle. It reflects the cumulative effects of aging on bones, joints, nerves, and organs. The muscles shrink and lose their tone, a condition known as sarcopenia, which reduces endurance and increases fatigue. The bones may become brittle, making fractures from even minor falls a real danger. Arthritis or other chronic conditions can cause pain that limits movement. The cardiovascular system may not deliver oxygen to muscles as efficiently, and neurological conditions can interfere with coordination and balance. Together, these factors create a landscape in which even simple tasks like rising from a chair, climbing stairs, or walking across a room become increasingly challenging. This decline in physical strength also brings a heavy emotional toll, both for the elderly person and their family. For someone who has always valued independence, the need for assistance can feel humiliating or frustrating. It's common for elderly individuals to resist asking for help, to hide their difficulties, or to push themselves too hard, risking injury. Family members may feel helpless, watching someone they love lose autonomy, struggling with the question of when and how to intervene. The fear of falls or accidents often leads to anxiety on both sides, creating a delicate balance between safety and freedom. Supporting an elderly loved one through this stage begins with understanding and acceptance. It is important to recognize that physical weakness and mobility challenges are natural parts of the body's slowing process. Trying to ignore or deny these changes can lead to greater risks. Instead, approaching the situation with compassion and practical support can help maintain quality of life and dignity. One of the first steps is to create a safe living environment. This includes removing tripping hazards like loose rugs, clutter, or uneven flooring. Installing grab bars in bathrooms and near stairs provides crucial support. Good lighting reduces the risk of falls by making obstacles more visible. Sometimes rearranging furniture to allow easier access to commonly used areas can make a big difference. These adjustments are not signs of surrender but expressions of care that allow the elderly person to remain as independent as possible. Encouraging gentle physical activity is also essential. While it may seem counterintuitive to ask someone who is weak to move more, appropriate exercise helps maintain muscle strength, flexibility, and balance. Activities like seated leg lifts, stretching, or short walks, even with a walker or cane, can slow the progression of weakness. Working with a physical therapist can provide tailored exercises that respect the person's limits while promoting mobility. Moreover, movement releases endorphins that improve mood and reduce feelings of helplessness. Nutrition plays a vital role in supporting strength. Adequate protein intake, vitamins like D and calcium, and hydration contribute to muscle health and bone density. Often, elderly individuals may have reduced appetite or difficulty preparing meals, so families can help by offering nutrient-dense foods and ensuring mealtimes are pleasant and manageable. Pain management is another critical aspect. Chronic pain from arthritis, neuropathy, or other conditions can make movement painful and discourage activity. Working with healthcare providers to find effective pain relief methods, whether medication, physical therapy, or complementary approaches like massage, can enable greater participation in daily activities. Emotional support is just as important as physical care. Loss of mobility can trigger feelings of grief, anger, or isolation. Encouraging open conversations about these feelings helps the elderly person feel heard and understood. Celebrating small victories, such as standing up unaided for a few seconds or taking a few steps with assistance, reinforces a sense of accomplishment and hope. Assistive devices like walkers, wheelchairs, or scooters can restore freedom and confidence. While some may resist using these aids initially, framing them as tools for independence rather than symbols of decline can ease the transition. Educating family and friends about how to support mobility safely, such as offering a steady arm rather than trying to lift or pull, creates a respectful environment. Sometimes, increasing physical weakness signals the need for additional caregiving support. Whether through home health aides, adult day programs, or moving to assisted living, seeking help can reduce caregiver burnout and provide specialized care tailored to mobility challenges. As the final year approaches, there may come a time when the elderly person becomes bedridden or mostly immobile. This stage requires delicate care to prevent complications like pressure ulcers, pneumonia, or muscle contractures. Turning schedules, skin care, gentle massage, and attention to comfort become paramount. Hospice or palliative care teams can offer invaluable guidance and assistance in managing these needs with compassion and professionalism. Above all, remember that physical weakness and mobility loss do not diminish a person's worth or the love you share. The heart of care lies not in what they can do, but in the presence and connection you offer. Sitting beside them, holding their hand, sharing stories, or simply being there brings comfort that no strength or mobility can replace. If you are witnessing these changes now, take heart that your efforts make a difference. Each safety modification, each encouraging word, each shared moment of laughter or quiet helps your loved one face this chapter with grace. You cannot stop the passage of time, but you can walk beside them with love, honoring their dignity and the life they have lived.